Well, good morning. My name is Lance. I'm the North Dakota Carnivore, and it's a beautiful Saturday morning here. Just trying to finish getting everything set up. This is one of those mornings where things don't always go as planned. I'm actually pretty surprised that nothing else has gone on out here because we have some stuff going on. So that's a good thing that we haven't lost power, we haven't lost internet. It's just not been a very nice day out here so far. So let me clicking on the wrong stuff here. I want to share a screen. I'm just trying to get my computer to show this. This is the screen I wanted to show. And which it resets itself. This is what we're doing for our weather right now. I'm in Minot right here, and we're right dab in the middle. Freezing rain. It was snow coming right up to us to begin with, and then it switched over to freezing rain as it got here. And it's actually pretty crappy out there right now. That's what we're dealing with this morning. Such a fun way to start your day out. I did throw some salt down out there to lessen the impact of it before it got slippery and you walk outside and bust your ass and end up falling down steps, because that's never fun. Hey, good morning, Uncle Willie. How are you doing today? It's nice to see you here. And Bride's Biscuit, good morning. How are you today? Just a beautiful day here. Just hanging out and chilling. So we had a big cold snap that came through here starting last week. I mean, we had temperatures that went down to negative 27 degrees, and our temperatures are finally coming back up like they should. And like right now, it's 17 degrees out, which is tremendously warmer than it's been for the last week. I was doing rolling fasts, where I would eat for a 24-hour period, and then I'd go between 48 and 72 hours fasting before eating again. And when I got, right as I was getting to that negative temperatures outside below zero, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fast. So I stopped doing my fasting last week. So now watching the forecast and the way it's supposed to be, like today, our high today is supposed to be 37 degrees. So the weather is improving. Tomorrow is supposed to be in the mid 20s. And then, into February, and we get back up into the 20s and 30s. So I started a fast after my dinner last night and had a very high fat meal, ground beef, 80-20 with cooked in butter, with scrambled eggs and cooked in butter and bacon. So powerful. That's what my dinner was last night. Man, was that good. Yeah, the bad weather. Your youngest missed school all week. That's bad weather for sure. Good morning. Is that Shar? Fernando, good morning. How you guys doing? You getting your steps on the treadmill? Mine's sitting on the other side of my desk here, and I actually haven't used it for. I don't think I used it at all in January. I was walking on it just about every day in December, but in January I did when I was doing the fasting. I wasn't walking on it. Man, I don't know why. It doesn't bother me to fast. I've done that before. But I started my fast last night. Finished my last meal. It was about 5:30 last night when I finished. So I'm gonna fast now. Get back into that type of routine again, where I'm not cold now, so I can actually enjoy doing the fast. Feel good when I'm doing it. It was 7 degrees in New York City this morning, coldest temp in 6 years. Taking a break from January challenges, looking forward to getting back to a routine. Yeah. And I am too, doing the rolling fast in January. No, actually, it wasn't bad. I thought I did really well on them. My body responded really well. I wasn't hungry. I didn't have that constant hunger feeling that I thought I was going to have, because I was only eating once every 2 or 3 days. And I was really surprised at how well I felt doing that. But this fast, I started it on a Friday night. Started my fast over the weekend, and this is where I've always had trouble fasting, was on weekends. I'm not working. I'm at home. It's not that I'm not busy. I get bored then when you get low bored. What do? You want a snack. And that's where I have trouble with this. So I figured out I'll start it today. I'll push through this weekend, get over the hard part, and the rest of the week is going to be simple for me. I'm looking to do a 7-day fast. I know I'm actually running low on my electrolytes, or my element. I use the raw element when I'm fasting. Actually, it's raw element all the time. But specifically, I'll have 1 or 2 raw elements while I'm fasting, just to make sure I have the proper electrolytes when I'm doing this. And I'm running low, so that's supposed to be here Monday. But today, with our beautiful rain that we're getting, you never know. And then Monday, we're forecast to get more snow, unless that's changed. No, Monday we're still supposed to get some more snow. So, and now when I do fast, I do a water fast, and I do include having coffee with my stuff. Hey, Chris, your Rumble died, so you had to hop on YouTube. Well, I appreciate it. I've had trouble with Rumble in the last couple of streams I've done to that platform, where last Saturday it didn't even stream to it. I still don't know why. It did Sunday, but Saturday it didn't even stream to there. Anybody wondering, Uncle Willie and Crispy Bacon that's the same person. So I see, I can recognize them both in Rumble and on YouTube. But I do enjoy my coffee. I can't drink the Black Rifle coffee anymore. This coffee causes me pain. But the Dunn Brothers Papua New Guinea Western Highlands, medium and the dark roast, I do very well on. But I do include just straight black coffee in my when I do fast. So it's just something I do. Some people say you shouldn't, and some people say you can. Dr. Jason Fung says you can have coffee or tea while fasting, and it's not going to affect you that much, as long as you're not putting like sugar into it. And having 1 or 2 cups of coffee isn't going to hurt you. I don't think, in my opinion. But this is what I had for my dinner last night. This was my last meal before starting a fast. That was 1 pound of ground beef, and it was ground up kind of chunky. 6 eggs scrambled. The eggs and the beef were cooked in butter, and then it's 8 slices of bacon that were just chopped up, and then some hard Parmesan cheese, freshly shredded on top of it. Yeah, that's my last meal for hopefully the next 7 days, 168 hours. So Friday evening when I come home next week, I'll be able to eat again. Hopefully I make it that long. If I do, that'll be my longest fast. I've only done 144 hours, which is 6 days. I've never made it a full 7 days. So February 6th would be a full 7 days for me. And I'm wearing my headset, and the dang thing, I don't know what's going on. It was just told me disconnected and connected. So I don't know if it connected and died on here or not. You just got your first air fryer? Yeah, air fryers. Well, did you get a basket air fryer, Chris? I know that the basket air fryers, I've had those, and then I've got one that's got the doors on it. I'm not sure which one I like better. They cook things differently, and I can cook more foods with the one with the doors and the stuff like that, but they don't cook the same. Like you throw chicken wings into a basket air fryer, it doesn't take long to cook them. Cooking them in my other air fryer, it does. It takes a lot longer than the basket one. Steaks also. I don't seem to be able to get my steaks cooking air fryer as well as I can in the basket. Yep, the basket one good. And you have one with a glass basket, so you can actually see it in there. That's actually pretty cool. I looked at those gesture. And welcome to the show, Cosmic Gestures. Nice to see you here. How's the weather on your end of the state? I showed at the beginning of the screen here that right now we're getting freezing rain. I was actually pretty surprised that we haven't had more of it, more come down. But I did throw some salt out on the steps and everything before it actually started here, so it is helping some out there. I can tell that already. I can see where the salt is, and it's not forming ice right there, which is good. It's marvelous and beautiful, but that's probably going outside. Yeah. Well, here in mine, the temperature is actually 17 degrees above zero for the first time in probably a week and a half or more. So our temperatures really dropped and it got cold. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped my fast. Now, one of the things I stopped my fasting with, and actually went off, I was doing a line diet, and last weekend I decided not to stay with the line diet. And I had that. So that was delicious. Now, the top wings up there, that's Parmesan garlic. Those were for my son's girlfriend. The ones on the bottom left were barbecue Sweet Baby Ray's. The ones on the right were buffalo, and I made my own buffalo sauce, and then shrimp. So the buffalo and the shrimp, those were mine. The rest that was for my son and his girlfriend. But a lot of people think that if you're going on to like the carnivore diet like this year, that you have to eat steaks and stuff like that, and you really don't. It's not needed. A lot of what you eat here is the simplest foods, like this Power Bowl. This was mine last night. That's one of the things that I ate a lot of this. It's another version of that same power bowl, just without the eggs. It's just got ground beef and bacon, and then the cheese on top. This is one I had a long time ago, and it's the same thing. It's 4 to 6 eggs, 6 to 8 pieces of bacon. Here's another one where I just chopped up the bacon really fine. These are cheap. On a ground beef, $5, and that's a meal. And that's for a full day's calories. You throw in the eggs and you throw in the ground beef and the bacon and stuff, and it's less than $10, and you can eat a whole meal without breaking the bank. And a lot of times for like my breakfast, when I do eat breakfast, because sometimes I'll eat twice a day. That's generally on weekends. 4 eggs, 8 pieces of bacon. I dip the bacon into the runny yolks, use that instead of toast. It's absolutely delicious. One of the other meals I eat a lot of, just ground beef patties seasoned with salt and pepper and shrimp. It's so easy and it's inexpensive. Each of the ground beef patties are about $1 each, so it's pretty cheap to eat stuff like that. Now, do I eat steaks? Absolutely. Steak and shrimp, I do love it. There's nothing like getting a beautiful ribeye and cooking it, having some shrimp dipped in butter, using real butter, not this fake junk that really doesn't do well for you. Yep. Oh, you got to do wings for the air fryer. They're so good. Yeah, they come out nice and crispy too. And that's what I really like about using the air fryer for the chicken wings. But let me drop. Dun, dun. I don't want to edit that. I want to remove that one. I'm going to put another picture in here real quick. There you go. Now, these are wings I made a couple weeks ago. Homemade buffalo sauce up top. And then these are just cooked in the oven. They're so simple. They come out so delicious. And I really like the buffalo wings and the way they come out. There's some good stuff right there. So even though I took off this year, it'll still show them. Okay. Because just so far use yours for bacon, your air fryer. I've never had luck cooking bacon in the air fryer. The basket one I had would blow it all over the place, and I've had to get stuck up on the heating coil so that it didn't work so well for me. And then Chris is going to do some ribeyes in the air fryer later. Yeah, I've taught my son how to do those in the air fryer. We've got it's the Ninja XL, and you put it in the on the rack. It's the one that normally goes in the oven for cooking steaks on, but you put it onto a broil that's got a probe in it, so you can probe it, set it for 115 degrees, and cook it until it gets to 115, and then reverse sear it on a cast iron pan. Oh my goodness, is that good? And I've taught him how to do that, so he makes steaks for him and his girlfriend now, doing that. So, speaking of cast iron, I got a new cast iron pan sitting in the oven right now, seasoning that, getting that ready to go. It's our company Christmas party we had a couple of weeks ago. That's one of the things that I got from that company party. So, and I'm just seasoning it now. Unfortunately, I should have had it seasoned and should have been using it a while ago. Been doing buffalo legs recently, By me, they're less than one quarter price. Yeah. Uh, it's, sometimes doing the chicken, doing a full wing, depending upon the time of year, like, playoff time, the prices go up because a lot of people are doing them. But you can still get the drummies or drumsticks, and you can do those a lot easier, and they're more meat. Why not? I actually just watched, it was a Mad Backyard barbecue channel for, he does smokers and pit boss and stuff like that. He just did the 0 to 400 chicken wings, and he did them a little differently than what I've seen other people do, because he used a cookie sheet with a rack on it when he was doing it, and it took longer than what I was expecting for that to be done. I've done it myself, and it didn't take usually like an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes for him to do the chicken wings at the 0 to 400. When I did it, was less than an hour, and they came out really good. But I didn't use a rack, so he used the rack to diffuse the heat, so it's not directly heating on it. And when you're using a Pit Boss, I think he has a Pit Boss Pro series. Yeah, you do have to use something to diffuse the heat, or you have to adjust where you're cooking your food a little bit. It's actually pretty good. And I'm looking at getting another Pit Boss. I want to get the one of the vertical smokers. I've got the grill, and then I want to get a vertical smoker, and I want to get the attachment to my grill where it's basically a vertical smoker that's on the end of it. So there won't be direct heat. It'll just be the heat coming from the exhaust going through that and then out again. And I want to use that for smoking too, because I think that'll be amazing to be able to smoke more. But so how is anybody else doing on their carnivore diet? I know I said I see you and stuff. Hey, look at that. There's Aaron. Good morning, all. How are you doing, Aaron? Jester, you found the fun use for your cookie cooling racks. Now use them to dry age thinly sliced chuck roast into a sort of jerky, except you don't add anything but a little salt. That's actually not a bad idea. You're dry aging thinly sliced chuck roast. That's pretty cool. It's still snowing there in New York. There, we're getting a bit of freezing rain here, and everything's got kind of a sheen to it right now. Even the snow, top layer of the snows, you can see it. It's not good. But we haven't lost power or anything, so it's not that thick yet. It's not that bad. And I can look out here and see cars are still driving a little fast for me, but that's all right. Oh. Now, I know a lot of people have really good results and really incredible healing with the carnivore diet. And new people don't understand it. They don't get it. It's not that they don't get it, they don't understand it because it hasn't happened to them yet. And some people have a lot higher amount of healing to do than others. Everybody's body reacts differently to the carnivore diet. One of the biggest issues a lot of people do have is whether or not they eat enough of fat. And not having the proper amount of fat in your diet makes a huge difference in how your body heals. And asking questions to people who are doing it, asking questions to people who have different results, you can learn so much about this here and just be open to the information that you're being given. Like one of the examples I love to use is Jenny Medich and her husband. They were on a carnivore diet. Jenny and her husband were eating basically the same carnivore diet. It's a high fat, 70% of their calories or more were coming from fats. Jenny did great. She lost weight. She healed. Her husband didn't. He didn't lose weight. Wasn't healing. Wasn't having any luck on him. It wasn't until they adjusted his fat content lower that he started getting the healing benefits of the carnivore diet. It's still a high fat diet. Still, I believe she said it was 60% of his calories coming from fat, which is way more than the dietary guidelines of 10% of calories from fat are coming from. But that's what it took for him to heal. So, just if you're eating a carnivore diet and you're not having success, you need to track what you're eating. I'm one of those people. I don't get that signal that says that you're full, and uh, when I'm eating, you hear like Dr. Barry tell you to eat until you're comfortably stuffed. You hear other people tell you to eat until the meat doesn't taste good anymore. You'll get a signal from your body it doesn't taste good anymore. I don't get those signals, so I track, and it's one of the best things I did when I first started. I tracked for 90 days everything I was eating. My app gave me the percentage of calories from fat, percentage of calories from protein. So I knew exactly what I was eating and how I did. And I found that me being above 70% of my calories coming from fat, I did really well. At 75% of my calories from fat is where I did my best. And that's basically where I stopped. I didn't actually go up any higher than that because that's where I did really well. Aaron says it hit double digits again finally, but the snow won't stop. It's that steady like snow, but adding up. Is that the lake effect snow that you're getting here? Yeah, Chris. Freezing rain is never any good. It doesn't do any good for anything. It doesn't get into the ground, so just might as well make it snow. Yeah, I watched up this weekend. It was a coworker's 50th birthday. His wife made cookies. She's a baker. He had 6. That was it. Well, jump back into the carnivore. Go have some butter. That's what I do. I've also found that I used to. I've tried cottage cheese before, and I've always disliked cottage cheese. Yeah, my wife was always getting that 2% cottage cheese, which is runny and disgusting, and I never cared for it. I tried the 4% fat cottage cheese, and I actually found that I can actually tolerate that and I can eat that. It's not bad. And it's extra fat. I haven't had, I wear CGM most of the time. I got one on now. Yeah. I made sure it didn't fall off. But I wear that, and I don't have an insulin or a glucose spike when I have cottage cheese. But I'll have that every once in a while now. It's actually not too bad. Going to try not have cheese or diet soda in February. Try is the key word. I'll use little cheese and meatballs, but just a little for the big batch. Yeah. Depending upon the cheese too, Aaron. Like I've had issues with softer cheeses, cheddars, and stuff like that. If it's a soft cheese, when I have the hard cheese like the triangle of Parmesan, where you got to put it in, you got to grind it up yourself. I haven't had any issues with that. Or like the raw cheese, La Gruyere, I haven't had issues with that. It's actually pretty good for me. But the other cheeses, I do have issues with. You find that you do better eating 80-20 ground beef instead of a 70-30. Yeah, it's a fat difference. Some people, all of our bodies are a little bit different. The majority of people getting that 70% of their calories from fat do really well. Some people take more, some people take less, and you have to find out which one you are. Yeah, coming off of Lake Ontario for the snow. Chris, you're planning on doing all the different fasts with Larry in February? I'm going to do them too, depending on when he's doing them. Hopefully they line up with the ones that I want to do myself. The only one I don't know about what he's doing first, but I'm planning on doing this 7-day fast. And then after that, whatever Larry's doing for a fast, I'll jump in and join him on those just to make sure I can do them too. It's like, hey, I enjoy doing fasts. I like the autophagy. I've lost 122 pounds on the carnivore diet, and I have, a little bit of loose skin on my neck and stuff, but the rest of my body, I don't have that loose skin like you see on some. My body's different than a lot of other people's, or I've never had that loose skin effect when I've lost weight before. And I've lost 80 pounds back in 2014 or 2012 to 2014. I lost 80 pounds. And I didn't have the loose, saggy skin that came with it because of the way my body distributes the fat. So I'm making that aspect. And then now losing 122 pounds, actually 134 for my heaviest, I don't have that excessive loose skin. And I credit a lot of it to the autophagy, where my body is actually breaking it down and using it for energy when I do my fasting, including even times where you're doing an OMAD. I do believe your body does take some of that loose skin and uses that for the energy when you're doing that. Aldi has flavored carbonated water with no sugar of any kind. If you Carnivore Diet Pop. Jesser's talking to Aaron. Some of these flavored diet pops aren't that bad. Or flavored carbonated waters, I should say, not pops. Any soda that has, whether it's diet or not, the sucralose, the saccharin, or whatever they're using to flavor, to sweeten it, that stuff is never good for you. There are other sweeteners out there that people don't have a response to. I know Aaron is a type 2 diabetic, and I believe you wear a CGM. And one of the things that you have to find out is if what you're drinking is having any effect on that. I like just plain carbonated water, not flavored or anything like that. I like the Topo Chico. That's really carbonated, and I have found that when I do drink that Topo Chico waters, I tend to cramp at night when I'm sleeping. I have to drink extra electrolytes, and I'm not sure why, but it sucks. And then Liquid Death, they have just a plain carbonated water. It's in the black and gold can, and it's not as carbonated, not nearly as carbonated as Topo Chico, but it's a lightly carbonated water, and I really like those too. And then my wife has found like the Liquid Death Cola. She can drink that. She doesn't have any blood glucose spikes. The cola and the other ones that they have, I believe they're sweetened with monk fruit. So she doesn't have much or any response from that at all. Jessica says, the one I drink more than 2 of them a day, you feel it messes with the digestion. Yeah. Because they still have the flavorings, they still have stuff in them. And yeah, going through your system is just kind of rough at times. Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you doing today? I always like that. Your thumbnail for your picture there. That's actually pretty cool. I have stuff on the other side of my desk here, and I just knocked something over. Big feet. But one of the finding something to drink that's not bad for you. There's a lot of stuff out there that is kind of half-ass. You have to find out what's right for you. That's one of the reasons why I started wearing a CGM when I figured out that I could buy them for myself and not have to go through insurance and stuff like that. And my doctor didn't have to do it. The first one I tried was the Lingo, which is basically a freestyle lead rag once. And I didn't have too bad luck with that one. That one was actually pretty good for me. At least I thought it to begin with. And what I didn't like about it when I first tried it, you could only use the Lingo on an iPhone. I do have an iPhone. It's my work phone. I don't have an iPhone myself. I use an Android. And what I did find is I use a Keto Mojo. I found the Lingo CGM was consistently reading low. So when my blood glucose on my Keto Mojo was reading it in the 90s, my Lingo was reading in the 70s. When I was so it was 20 points lower consistently. And I found the Stello shortly after I was doing the Lingo. I did the Lingo for a month. And then I bought the Stello. I did the Stello for a month. And I checked both of them against my Keto Mojo, and they were just to make sure. And I found the Stello, which is basically the Dexcom. I found the Stello to be more accurate to my Keto Mojo. Outside of my Keto Mojo, my wife also has her glucose testers, and I've tried those too, just to verify my Keto Mojo is accurate. And it's more accurate than the CGMs are, in my opinion. Testing against two separate blood tests, the Keto Mojo and my wife's, they're very close, within a point or two from each other. So I do trust the Keto Mojo. I do have to run the test solutions through them every once in a while, just to make sure everything is going right. You're still using honey and MTC at bedtime. Still waking up, but am able to fall back asleep. What a blessing. Have you tried using butter, Jeff? I think we talked about this last week. Steak and Butter Gal has used butter, and I can't remember who else has done that too, where they've used butter before going to bed, like eating a tablespoon or two of butter before going to bed to help them sleep at night. And I've done it myself, and I've learned to like butter. I never used to be able to do that. My wife has always been somebody that can munch on butter, but I've learned to be able to eat butter too. Chrissy got rid of coffee but kept the Diet Pepsis. That was my wife's favorite, was Diet Pepsi. She would drink that all the time. I just don't like the sweeteners in them. And those, I'd rather have her have monk fruit, stevia that doesn't affect her, or the RX sugar allulose. She's had much better blood sugar control using those. Okay, you did try the butter and it didn't work for you. Yeah. Like I said, everybody is different. So you're finding something that works for you, and that's using the MTC oil and honey. So there's something about the combination that's helping you. Everybody's different. Everybody has to try and find what works best for them, and that seems to be good for you. Bridesmaid says magnesium before bed has worked for you to help regulate sleep. I used to take magnesium. That was one of the things that I was taking on my blood pressure was high. Was magnesium. It's not one of the things in my. I actually think it was one of the things that my doctor told me I should be taking is magnesium glycinate, and I take that at night and in the morning, along with my 5 blood pressure pills. Well, I take 4 of them during the day, and then 1 of them at night with my magnesium. And I was taking a lot of medications. There's 2 different statins that they tried putting me on. I was supposed to be taking the fish oil pills, prescription strength fish oil, they were like monster pills. I didn't like those. There's what else was it? There was a couple other things that at one point there's like 9 different medications I was supposed to be taking. Now I take 0. I don't have any. None. I wish I would have kept some of the medication bottles. That way I could put in a basket like Carrie Mann did and show what I was all taking, because I was taking a lot of medications. Let's see. Aaron says diet soda usually does not impact your numbers on your CGM, but it slows weight loss. Yeah. Because this is one of the things that I don't know for sure, but I do believe that any of the sugars, whether it's the real sugars or these other sweeteners that they say are no sugar and whatever, it might not have a impact on your blood glucose, but I do believe it has an impact on your insulin. And when your insulin is high, it will affect your weight loss. It will affect your healing. It affects so much when that insulin takes off like that and gets high. And you do use magnesium also. Yeah, magnesium does a lot of stuff for your body. I tried making my own electrolyte drinks, and I tried using the magnesium glycinate that I have. Oof. Glycinate's a nasty tasting stuff right there. I did not like it one bit. Bridesmaids, you stopped the fish oil and just added sardines. Yeah, it's a better choice. I like sardines. Our Costco here had the 6-pack of cans on sale. They're regular $9.99, and they had them on sale for $6.49. So it's just over $1 a can. When my wife and I went, I only bought 1 box of it. Last week, my daughter and her husband went, so they bought me 4 more. So I'm all stocked up for doing a long sardine fast now. Bridesmaids, you also take a low dose melatonin and use blue blockers in the evening. Yeah, I see a lot of people wearing the blue blockers, especially people that do a lot of computer work. I actually think I had my laptop set up so that it was basically on a night mode all the time, so it didn't give that out. But I might be mistaken because my screen doesn't look like it. Maybe it's coming on at a certain time. Use magnesium citrate. You tolerate well. Mix your own electrolytes also, but only use during fast. Yeah, and I can do that a lot of times. I can go days without having electrolytes now, and I still have to watch how much water I drink. If I try, I didn't have it in here, but I got that big cup. It's like 40 ounces. If I have more than 1 of those in a day of water, I know I have to have an electrolyte too. But a lot of times I don't. I only have that one 40 ounces of water, and then I'll have 2 cups of coffee in the morning. So between that, if I have more coffee, then I'll also have to have an electrolyte too, because it does flush out electrolytes from your body. And if I don't have enough salt in my food, then I have cramps at night. Jeff says that he does use the blue blockers also. There's a lot of people that do it. You can see people in video that are wearing the blue blockers and stuff like that. I think it's was it Rockin' Coach Amy? I see her in some of the videos and some of the stuff that she wears blue blockers a lot. Uh, I've seen her wearing those, and I've been in some meetings with her where she's on screen too, and she wears them. There's a couple other people too that use them, and I've thought about getting them, but I normally don't have trouble falling asleep. Example is Thursday night. I went to bed early. I get up at 4 a.m. So I went to bed early. It's like my wife was out. Maybe it was Wednesday. Wednesday night, she has running around to do. And I went to bed early. She was still running around. It was like 8:15. I was tired. I went and lay down. I was in bed at 8:17. My watch said I was asleep by 8:20. And I didn't hear a thing until my alarm went off. I sleep really well most of the time, and when I do sleep well, it's I, it scares the hell out of me when my alarm goes off. But then on Thursday night was one of the nights I didn't sleep well. I still went to bed early and fell asleep really good, and then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, just kind of sat there like, now what? And I was in and out of sleep all day, all night. And yesterday was kind of a rough day. Now last night, again, I laid down a little bit early. I fell asleep and I didn't hear nothing until I woke up this morning. It's actually nice. Chris said, I told my doctor that I wanted to stop my meds. He said he just writes the prescriptions. I'm the one that puts them in my mouth. Yeah, well, depending upon what medication you're taking, you need a doctor to help wean off of it. Some medications are not good to just stop. High blood pressure medications, as an example, I was on 5 high blood pressure medications. 3 of the 5 were the lowest dosage you could get. So I stopped those on my own because I felt comfortable doing it. The last 2 I did it with my doctor. I went to my doctor. I told her I'd change my diet. I'd come off with 3 of the 5 I was on already, and I wanted to stop these last 2. I actually had her remove one of them altogether, and then just taking the max dose of 1. She kind of balked at it. She didn't want to do that. But I told her that's what I'm going to do, so that's what I want. She finally did. She redid my prescription for the max dose of my last medication to get rid of. And then I took it for a few days. I take my blood pressure so I knew where I was. And when my blood pressure dropped below 110 over 70, I stopped taking that last one. But I cut it in half. I took it for a few more days. My blood pressure dropped again. I stopped taking it. I continued checking my blood pressure. 2 days later, it went back up. So I took that half dose again for like 2 or 3 days. My blood pressure went down again. I stopped taking it, and I haven't had it since. But I weaned off of it. I did it with a doctor. Some people, if you're not like doing a carnivore diet where your blood pressure is coming down and your body is healing, if you just stop your high blood pressure medications, you can have serious complications and even loss of life because of it. It is important to see a doctor to that kind of stuff with them. And that's one of the things that, as a doctor, they do have a obligation to help you. To, Bryce basically drinks 60 to 70 ounces of water and 24 ounces of coffee a day. Use a lot of salt. Yeah. See, if I drink that much water in a day, I do have to have an electrolyte drink. That's one of them. Otherwise, I just get too many cramps. I've had some cramps in my feet. It feels like my feet are being turned inside out. Oh my goodness. Some of them are painful. I haven't had any of those in quite a while, a couple months, maybe 6, 8 months. Jeff says you try a lot of things to help you sleep. Sleep should be a top priority for everyone. And yeah, it's one of the things that I found out doing this way of eating is I still get the same amount of sleep I got, which is 5.5 to 6.5 hours generally. And I feel so much better with that than I did before. Even with getting less sleep at times, I feel better. I fall asleep faster. I stay asleep longer, and I just feel much, much better. But yeah, this generally helps people get better sleep. You don't need as much sleep either at times. Even experimenting with your current meds in different doses and combinations. You're on 3 meds for blood pressure and three blood thinners. Let's see, Jeff said, you feel it's best to talk to a pharmacist about drugs. That is true too, because doctors can tell you what you need to take for a specific ailment, but they don't know the interactions on stuff, and that makes a big difference. Bride's biscuits. You ground pray at sunrise to reset circadian rhythm. You do breathing exercises throughout the day also. I've thought about doing stuff like that. I haven't. In the summertime, I do like to sit outside barefoot, and one of those oddballs around here. Everybody sits in their backyards and does stuff. In our backyard's fenced, you don't see nothing. Nothing goes on back there. I take my yard chair out and I put it in my front lawn and I sit in my front lawn and I watch people. I wave to people as they go by. I talk to people walking by on the sidewalks. But I sit out there barefoot in the summertime, summer, spring, fall, until it gets too cold and there's snow on the ground. I like sitting out there. I have a good time. Your foot cramps, yeah, foot cramps are the worst. I don't know what it is that does that to my feet. Now, it's just the feet. It generally isn't my calves or my any other muscle. It's generally just my feet, and I really do. I feel like it gets turned inside out from the heel to the palm, by your big toe, that area, and I have to turn my foot to the side and step on it for it to snap it back over. That's so painful. That's why I try not to dilute or flush out my kidneys and all the sodium and electrolytes that I do have in my body because oof, that hurts. Brian's basically I was on a statin and 3 blood pressure meds, softball now. Also on a dozen meds for mental health over the course of a year. And that one right there, the mental health medications, if you're taking the SSRIs, those are really hard to come off. If you've come off of those, kudos to you because they are very difficult. The blood pressure and the statins, it's less than 1% of people taking a statin medication get any benefit from a statin. And The rest is just profit for the pharmaceutical companies. In general, there's really not a really good reason to be on a statin, in my opinion. I don't give out medical advice or anything like that. I'm not a doctor. I just don't think that there's a valid medical reason to take a statin. So I definitely come off of those. I took there were the two or there's three different statins that I was prescribed, and I took two of them, not for any more than like 2 weeks, and I was in so much pain that after 2 weeks I could not do it anymore. It just I stopped using them. And Aaron's heading over to Larry's for his live. Let's see. Let me do this real quick. Whoa. Looks like Larry's got a winter wonderland going on out there. They've gotten worse snow today than I have here, which is amazing. I'm putting this in the chat. That's a link to the live stream for Larry and Carnivore Quest. One of the best accountability live streams that's out there. Enjoy myself in there, and we have a good time. You were on SSRIs, SNRIS. Yeah, you were on a bunch of stuff. Mood stabilizers. You were on a bunch of stuff, Bryce. Now you've come off of those. That is absolutely amazing. I applaud you for that. Bryce says, take care of Aaron. Yeah, and that's the link to Larry's live stream on Carnivore Quest. Sugar and Carb Addiction Support Group. That's what he's got it labeled as now. But that's where I'll be heading over there in just a minute. Now, for those of you on X, jump on over to that. You can click on that link, go into that, have a good time over there, listen to Larry, talk with the group that's in there. We generally have quite a few people in there that are very knowledgeable. Over 20 years, yeah. Taking those medications, yeah. Just do cognitive, behavioral, and psychotherapy now. That is really good. I myself, when I was taking my blood pressure medications, I'd only been on them for 4 years. No, I didn't put them on this one here. I'd only been on them for about 4 years. So for me, it wasn't a long time that I was taking them, but it was long enough, and I wanted to get off of them. You know, this is one of my blood pressure readings for, September. This is where I found myself. I had my high blood pressure, and I was going to the doctor trying to get my blood pressure under control. And this is, I could take it to my doctor, and I could tell my doctor, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. This is where my blood pressure is. I was in stage 2 or crisis a lot. And now I don't even take a blood pressure medication because I don't need to. All right, Bryce Boosted, we'll see you over at Larry's. I'll be over there in just a minute. But that's where I am. That's what I came off of. And, eating a standard American diet, telling me to just eat, 2,000 calories, this is what it got me. Because not all calories are the same. They're not. if you eat 2,000 calories of meat versus 2,000 calories of a standard American diet where the majority of those calories are coming from carbohydrates, then you'll end up looking like me in these pictures. Metabolically unhealthy. I'm riding that scooter because I couldn't walk for more than 20 minutes. And we're at the state fair, so what do? My wife got me a scooter. It was awesome. I actually had a good time when I was doing that because I was able to get around. But that was on the standard American diet. Yeah, I tracked my food. Even when I was that big, that heavy, I was still tracking my foods, trying to find out what was working for me and what was not working for me. Was I eating too much? Once in a while, not often, but I was eating between 2,000 and 2,500 calories. And that's how big I got because my insulin was dramatically high. And this is what insulin does, it stores fat. It takes any excess fat and stores it. When you're eating a high carbohydrate diet, before your blood sugars read high consistently, your insulin levels are dramatically high for a long time, sometimes for decades before it starts showing up in your blood. But what does happen is it stores fat. And as you can tell on me, it stored a lot of fat. Now, the majority of that fat is visceral fat, my organs and stuff. I didn't have the adipose tissue where my belly, before the muscles, I can pinch an inch now, but not much more. But that's the way I've always been. I've always been able to pinch a little bit of an inch or more. But when I was huge, like I was in these pictures here, I could still only pinch an inch. There was no fat between my muscle and my skin. That's just not where it was. It was all on the inside around my organs. And that's where people have so much trouble, is with that adipose tissue. Well, and I also think that's part of what keeps me from having that loose, saggy skin on my stomach and stuff from losing weight, is because mine was all around my organs, unfortunately. But what can I do? Well, I can eat meat, eat this, eat that. Ground beef and shrimp, steak and shrimp. And that took me from looking like this to this within a year. I went from 335 pounds to 224 pounds in this picture. And my lowest weight now has been 213 pounds. But I've lost a lot of weight. I don't have the excess saggy skin that you would think from that picture on the left there. I don't have the excess saggy skin. I don't have the high blood pressure anymore. I don't have readings like this like I used to. My readings now are generally like 117 or 77, 78. Every once in a while, I'll get a reading like 120 in the 120s over 80s. But the next time it's back down into the one teens or the 70s. I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I don't have hypertension anymore. I don't take medications for it anymore. And that is due to the way I eat. Eating steak, eating ground beef, eating an absolutely delicious power bowl. This is the proper diet. This is what you need to do, in my opinion. You want health, you have to eat what's actually good for you. And stop listening to old dogma. One of the things that you have to understand, or people don't understand, our dietary guidelines that started back in 1977 with the food pyramid was an advertising campaign by the USDA to get people to buy more grain for our farmers so that they could make more money. There was nothing scientific about those guidelines. Now, talk to people today, and people will tell you, well, there's no long-term studies on carnivore for health, for your health. There was no long-term study on our food pyramid before that was put into effect either. But now, 50 years later, what do we have? We have the highest obesity ever recorded. We have the most type 2 diabetics ever recorded. We have the most metabolically unhealthy people in the world because of the diet. So just based on that, I would avoid the standard American diet. You are much better off doing anything but the standard American diet or standard Western diet. Ooh. Sneeze came out of nowhere. But not having the inflammation that comes from the seed oils, the sugars, all the carbohydrates, the excess insulin that's in your body is a tremendous benefit. And it's one of the best things that you can do is to eliminate that stuff. So eliminate the standard American diet from your life. It doesn't need to be there. There was nothing that was scientific about the food pyramid that started back in the 1970s. That was an advertising campaign. Now we've been doing it for almost 50 years. We know that it doesn't work. We know that there are more people sick than ever before. The information out there is like 88% of the people in the United States are metabolically unhealthy. That's not normal. That's not what it was back in the 1970s before this started. So there is a long-term study that you can look at right now and see that the way we've been taught to eat for the last 50 years is not healthy. Well, how did people eat before that? They ate more meat, vegetables, and stuff like that were sides, and they were in season. You didn't eat them all the time. That's just not what you did. You ate meat. Breads were like 4 or 5 ingredients. They weren't what they are now. Well, they got 20 ingredients in bread and preservatives and all the other garbage. It's not needed. So we do have a large group of people who are being experimented on. It's the whole actual damn world who's eating a Western diet that's modeling themselves after the standard American diet. Nobody's healthy. Virtually everybody is sick. Now, I recommend for anybody who wants to get healthy, a carnivore diet, 0 carbs. If you're not somebody who is comfortable doing a carnivore diet, whole foods. If it has an ingredient label, don't buy it. So, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, meat. That's it. No seed oils, butter, ghee, tallow, pork fat. That's fine, but don't be eating things that have labels. They're not good for you. None of it is. Now, would I recommend a vegan diet? Over standard American diet, yeah. You're gonna have to take supplements. You're gonna have to know what you gotta take. But it's better than eating seed oils. It's better than eating sugars, refined sugars, and carbs. It's better, but yeah, I would. Or vegetarian, where they do end up having some meats, absolutely. Would I ever recommend eating a standard American diet? Never, because that does nothing but cause pain and suffering. Our dietary guidelines that they have out now do recommend that you eat more meat, that you eat more saturated fat, but they still cap the saturated fat intake to 10% of your calories, which is absolutely atrocious. That's just a stupid number. And that's because all the studies are being done by drug companies, by the sugar industry. There are two studies. One's going on right now up in Canada, and the funding was partially done by Dr. Sean Baker. He got the money together through groups, and they have a study going on the carnivore diet of Canada right now. Kayla Peterson is trying to get another study going where she's asking for donations and stuff and trying to get crowdfunding for it. And what they don't get from donations and stuff, she's going to cover it. But they want to do another one here. So the studies are going to happen. But you don't have to look that far. You can go back 70 years and see how people were eating. And it's a lot better. Without the seed oils, without the grains, people were doing better. So with that, I'm going to head over to the Carnivore Quest meeting. And there's a few people on X, a couple people here on YouTube still. If you want to come over there, I just highlighted that on the screen. Drop in, say hi to Larry. Looks like we got Jessica's on the screen right now with Larry. So let's go over there and talk with them. You'll have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. again. Same place. Have a great day.